Welcome back to my no-name channel, and Bruce Pullman, and this is another Bali COVID-19 update for August 30th, 2020. And today we're going to look at the numbers, of course, as usual. A story on 10,000 foreigners processing visas in Bali. Just to mention about Malaysia's situation and what they're doing. The governor of Bali is going to enforce a fine for not wearing masks and not following protocols. And the Bali Hotel Association, General Managers Association, talking about not being able to survive with the ban on foreign tourists. And then a couple of stories on medical marijuana in Indonesia. Not really COVID-19 related, but it affects those of us living in Indonesia. And then finally, a few thoughts on what the situation is and what's happening and what may happen. Okay, so let's get started. What are the numbers? Well, 3 days in a row, record number of cases in Indonesia. Yesterday we had 3,308, which takes us up to 169,195. And epidemiologists in Indonesia are concerned about what's happening. And in Bali, 88 cases yesterday, brings up to 4,989, and 4,327 have been recovered. 62 deaths. We had 2 extra deaths yesterday, and we have 600 patients still active, and so that number is going back up again. It's been going back up and back up and back up after it had gone down. So numbers are not good. And the biggest numbers for yesterday were Badung with 15 and Buleleng, my home, with 14. Buleleng has been up there continually over the last week. So, numbers aren't good. What does that mean? Well, it's obvious. This is not under control here by any means, and we're going to have to figure out how we're going to deal with the situation as we continue to get numbers, but the economy needs to be brought online, just like all over the world, and you see increasing numbers everywhere. Korea really having a problem now. I was talking to a friend in the Czech Republic yesterday. He said after they had gone and gotten to the place where they could travel and everything was looking really good, they're getting numbers again, and so that's not very positive. Positive note, a Polish friend of mine said he'd just gotten back from 2 months of traveling around, had been in Italy and in Greece in 2 months. Said that while the numbers of tourists were down, according to locals that he talked to there were a lot of tourists, he thought. He ran into a lot of tourists, and he got to see the Pope, so he was happy. Okay. How about visas? So we've got people here that have been stuck here either willingly or unwillingly, and we have those people that have been residents here either long-term, like me, for 31 years, or shorter term, but still in the KITAS yearly renewal visas or social visas. And according to immigration, in Denpasar, they said that they processed, this is since June 13th to August 25th. In Denpasar, they processed 7,343 requests for visas. Singaraja Immigration Department, my immigration department, 479. Wow, we've got more people here than I thought. And Nyaris, 1,851. So, of course, you see most people are down in the south. So, nearly nearly 10,000 foreigners have applied for visas, and they're being processed. And the date, the cutoff date, which had been August 20th, had been extended by immigration to September 20th, just because of the large number of visas and all the paperwork involved in this, and also immigration in Denpasar in Jakarta has been slowed down because of COVID-19 cases there. And so that's good news. Good news for people that want visas. They're being processed. And so, yeah, if we've got 10,000 foreigners here, 10,000 plus, well, that's helping the economy some, assuming that they're out spending some money. And what about the situation? Well, Bali is not open yet. There's no signs that Bali is going to open before the end of the year. That is still the date, the end of the year. And Malaysia has just announced that rather than opening when they had planned, they are extending their deadline, their restrictions on foreign tourists until the end of the year also. Even though they don't have anywhere near as many cases as we do, they said that it's still not under control. So they're going to not allow foreign tourists to come into Malaysia, and they're going to increase the fines for not following protocols, double or triple the fines. And so what about those fines? No mask, get ready to pay. So in the last COVID-19 update up here, I was talking about Badung Regency and how they were instituting 100,000 rupiah fines and 500,000 rupiah fines for businesses for people not wearing masks and not following protocols. Well, the governor last week announced that this is going to extend all over Bali according to the safety protocols, and so regulations. If you're not following regulations, a 100,000 rupiah fine for individuals and 1 million rupiah fine for businesses. And this is for not wearing masks in public. So all those people that have been wandering around, foreigners and locals that are not wearing masks in public, you may be fined 100,000 rupiahs for violating the COVID-19 protocols. And as usual in Indonesia, there's going to be a change. They talk about socialisasi. So there's the socialization period where there's public announcements, and it gives everybody a couple of weeks to get ready for the changes. And so the governor said that he's instructed public officials to disseminate information about this new regulation, and that after 2 weeks, the local authorities will deploy law enforcement officers, that includes police and military, to enforce the new regulations. So if you are a person who has not been wearing a mask and you don't want to pay a fine, you're going to need to start wearing one. And the regulation also calls for the maintenance of discipline and the enforcement of health protocols, and all in 15 sectors throughout the Balinese economy and society. This includes public services, transportation, customs and culture, and religion, arts, agricultural, fisheries, forestry, trade, banks and non-bank financial institutions, educational institutions, and others. So basically, it covers everybody, all the businesses, all the individuals, everybody in the island. And so this is going to be starting in 2 weeks. Now this announcement came on the 26th, so 4 days ago. So you've got about 10 days. If you have not been wearing a mask and you don't have one, you better get one. Okay, and I was talking last time about how if Bali wants to open, and they say that they have all these safety and protocols and health protocols in place, but they're not enforcing them, how are people going to trust that it's safe? well, looks like they're getting serious. And so, time to shape up. And the spirit of sobean. Now, this is a story about Buleleng, and when I saw this, I thought sobean. Have they come up with a new word for soybeans? And so, well, I had to read the article. It took me a little translating problem with this one, but I got through it. So it's about highlighting local potential in Buleleng. This is the regent. Buleleng's regent wants to increase the prosperity, the economic situation of Buleleng. Buleleng is one of the poorer provinces in Bali. We don't have all this tourist money flowing in here. And so he's got this concept of the spirit of sobean. And this concept is going to be used as a branding for the best local products and potential, such as in agricultural products, the tourist destinations, the best hotels, and an example would be durian. So he said we're going to promote durian from Buleleng, and once we do that, we put the sobean brand on it. We could double the prices and make more money for the farmers. Okay, I'm not sure if people are going to be willing to pay double the prices. I'm not quite sure about this. If something is called sobean. So what does sobean mean? So I was reading through this and I kept thinking, what is sobean? This is a word I don't know. It must be a Balinese word. Well, it turned out it is. So the Bupati said that the word comes from his childhood and from his mother. So he was a child up here in Banyuatis village, Desa Banyuatis, and oops, the camera. And he said this is the language of his hometown. And when his mother would give him something that he didn't want, he refused, she'd say, sobean. So he said that means best. And so his idea is to have the sobean brand on products and places for Buleleng, and that is going to, I guess he's going to promote this through social media. It wasn't really clear in the article, but that means the best. So, okay, good. The Bupati is trying to get our economy going up here, and I think it's great. I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm waiting to see. I want to see the sobean brand here. And next, medical marijuana. So I didn't know this. This was, I guess, not common knowledge. I've never heard about this, but marijuana has been classified as a medicinal plant since 2006. I didn't know this. Now, everybody that's familiar with Indonesia knows about the really strict drug laws here. Death for some people, long terms of imprisonment for others. And that includes marijuana, which is a class 1 drug, which means that it can't really be, it shouldn't be listed under a medicinal plant. But it has been since 2006. Well, who knew? So, it's a class 1 drug or it's a medicinal plant? Well, apparently in February, the agricultural ministry decided to declassify it or take it off the medicinal plant list because of the ministers, the agricultural ministry's minister, his commitment to anti-drug activities and laws, and so it's been taken off. Now, this caught the eye of some pro-legalization or pro-medical legalization for medical purposes of marijuana, and they posted it. It's gone viral, and the government said, yes, we're doing that. It is not going to be used as a medicinal plant here. Research is not going to be allowed on it. And a number of national organizations under the Advocacy Coalition for Narcotics Usage for Medicine has called on the government to study the use of cannabis for medical purposes. The group noted that at least 50 other countries around the world have approved marijuana as an alternative medicinal product, and that's including a couple of countries at least that I know about in Asia. And Asia has, as everybody that travels here knows, Asia has very strict drug laws. And last year, both Thailand and South Korea decided that they were going to allow medical research on marijuana. Now, if you know anything about the medical uses of marijuana, you know it's treated for pain. In a lot of cases, it has some other uses as well. And the United States, of course, started out with, and I think this is one of the problems, it started out with using marijuana for medical research, allowing that, and then eventually went to decriminalization, and you can use a pot for recreational uses in the U.S. And a number of other countries. So my guess is that there are people in the government who are afraid that once you open the door to marijuana for any purpose, then it's just going to, the floodgates are open. Not a good line of thought, in my opinion. Particularly for cancer patients, I know medical marijuana has been used. It alleviates nausea for people that are undergoing chemotherapy, as well as helps reduce pain. It's also used to treat glaucoma and a number of other illnesses. So this is a step backwards for us. And there was a well-known case just a few months ago. A person from East Nusa Tenggara was convicted of using pot and sentenced to 10 months in prison, and he was using it for medical purposes, for pain coming from a spinal problem, but the government rejected those arguments, and he was sentenced to 10 months in prison. So not good for those of us that have been hoping that there's going to be an opening in Indonesia for the use of marijuana for medical purposes to alleviate pain. As somebody who is at that age when I have to start thinking about, well, how long before I get cancer? It'd be nice to smoke a joint or two to alleviate some of the nausea if I have to go through chemotherapy or the pain. So, step backwards for us, unfortunately. Okay, so let's wrap things up. What's the situation? Well, we're not going to get international tourists until the end of the year, as of now. We have domestic tourists. According to the Bali Hotel General Managers Association, he said that the opening of tourism for local and domestic tourists has not had a significant impact on the hotel occupancy rate. For example, he said last week we had 4,900 tourists that showed up on the island for 130,000 hotel rooms. And I'm guessing that does not include private villas, of which there are many, many these days, and homestays, the smaller places like that I stay in. And so he said, we're not going to make it to the end of the year this way without foreign tourists. And he hopes that the ministries and state-owned enterprises will start holding events, meetings, conferences in Bali in order to fill up some of the hotel rooms. Okay, so what about that? There are too many hotel rooms. Let's be real about this. The last governor said this many years ago. He called for a moratorium on the building of hotel rooms. Nobody paid any attention to it. He didn't really have any means to enforce that. Each regency did their own thing and continued to build hotel rooms, even though there was already known that there were too many hotel rooms. People just kept building it in. As long as these tourist numbers kept coming in, people kept building hotels. And what's happened? Now there's too many hotel rooms. Now, in the last video, I was mentioning a couple of things that suggestions about refitting, repurposing hotel rooms for medical tourism, for education. At this point, all these hotel rooms is not sustainable. Are we ever going to get back to a normal international tourist situation? It's hard to tell. But when we're looking at what's going on here with the surges in Europe, in Asia, the U.S., South America, it seems clear that COVID-19 is not going to go away. We're waiting for a vaccine for the virus. Okay, maybe that comes at the end of the year, maybe it comes early next year. Once it comes, it has to be produced, it has to be distributed. How many people are going to take the vaccine? There have been some reports in the U.S. press that as many as 35 to 40% of Americans will not take the vaccine. And just talking to a few of my friends, a number of them are express a lot of caution about taking it too. Like, well, I think I'll wait and see. Let some other people take it first and see what happens. If they don't die, if they don't get side effects, well, maybe I'll take it. So, when we get the vaccine, is it going to be effective? Are people going to take it? So, at some point we have to realize we're going to have to live with this. This is not just the flu, it's not just a cold. I'm not even going to go into those arguments, which are ridiculous. But we're going to have to find some way to coexist with it. Hopefully the vaccine will work. But let's say we get the numbers down. At some point, it looks like we're not going to get to the zero level. We saw the zero level in several places, and now it's up again. Korea had 0, 0, 0, and now they're up. Last week I had 300, 400 cases. They're worried about worried about hospital rooms and overtaxing the hospitals. That's a common problem. Czech Republic is having problems. You've got new cases in New Zealand, which was 0. And Australia has gone to level 4 in one of their states. And so somehow we're going to have to work on living with the virus. One of the things, as I've talked about over and over again, is Bali has to continue its plans to diversify the economy. We need to go into things like medical tourism, okay, still tourism, but medical tourism, with a focus. People that would come, despite some of the problems that we do have here, earthquakes, volcanoes. Education, international education. Support farmers, agriculture. Quit building villas. Put a ban on building anything. It's possible you want to build a new house, it's possible to do that without using agricultural land. We've built 2 houses here. We've taken old houses, tore one down completely and built a new one on top of it. And another one we tore down half of it and renovated it. So you want to build a place here? Great. But why use good farming land. Buy a place, tear it down if you don't like it, and fix it up. Okay, so that's my little rant about people building on farmland. The green zone, the green industrial park in Jumbrana, there's something. Tech, we can use the digital nomads. Look at that not necessarily as tourism, it's still tourism, but people that would be here on a long-term basis if the government starts to give out, say, one-year visas for digital nomads. Number of other things that people are working on. And so that seems to be where we're going to have to go. We have to diversify the economy. We're going to have to, unfortunately, find some level, and this is something not for me to decide, this is something for, I'm a social scientist, not a, well, as a friend of mine says, you're not really a scientist, you're a social scientist, it's an anthropologist, that's kind of like a what? I said, yeah, kind of artistic in a way. But anyway, so find a level that's sustainable, where people can be treated, where we don't tax out the medical facilities, where we've got serious cases can be treated, where we have health and safety protocols that are followed by people. There are ways to get around this, to learn to live with the virus, and we're just going to have to do this here if we're going to survive this. So, those are some of my thoughts on this matter. And so, that's it for August 30th, 2020. I hope wherever you are, you're safe. If you are in Bali, and you want to travel around, there's some great deals in restaurants, in hotels, in homestays. I saw a really good one yesterday in Ubud. Really nice place. Usually $450 a night, $450,000 a night until December 31st. $150,000. Nice rooms, air conditioning, Wi-Fi, a little refrigerator, free breakfast. Unfortunately, I lost the link for it, and I can't remember the name of it. If it comes up again, I will put it on my next one and put it here, because those are the kind of businesses we want to support. This is family-owned business. $150,000 a night for a room like that? Wow. And they go through safety protocols, and they list all the safety health protocols that they do. They clean the rooms, they spray everything. So if you're here and you're out, support local businesses, please, and local business owners. Remember social distancing and mask. People are required to wear a mask, so that needs to be enforced. If we really want to get open, we've got to follow the government procedures. And so that's it. It's a beautiful day in Bali, and do I have a video to show here? Maybe. It's been really windy up north, but sunny and a little hot, but great weather. And so that's it. Stay safe. Be kind to someone today, and see you next time. Thanks.